What is up, Evil Dead fans? I've been asked to do this for a long time by a lot of people. How did I do my Evil Dead 2 book? Now, first and foremost, this used to be a Trick or Treat Studios book. And I've been asked to redo it and sell them, and at the moment I'm not. But, towards the end of the video, I do have something that I need to say. But let me tell you how I did this. Now, when it came to this, I did do, I think, a short video on this. But I want to go over it a little bit more in detail. Now, a friend of mine, John Thomas, he bought a book on Etsy, and it's probably the best book you can buy on Etsy. I've seen a lot of books on Etsy, and a lot of people have really good sculpts, and some people have really crappy sculpts. Some people just hit the hot glue way too gosh damn much. Or it's simply just a book with a little bit of hot glue on it and it's paint. How did I do this book? Now let's go over it. Kind of thing. So I saw that book that he got and I really like it, but I told myself I need to do one that's a little bit better. So what I did is I grabbed the photos from when Ash is opening it up in Evil Dead 2. Now if you go online, you'll see Tom Sullivan still has one of the stunt books. Sam Raimi's stunt book was in Jason Goes to Hell. So there's a little bit of a difference in the stunt books versus the hero book. Mostly around this eye and some parts around the mouth. And the hero book is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. As far as I know, in a deleted scene from Evil Dead 2, it was thrown in the fire. But I digress. It's hard to really know if that's truly that book. But since it is a close-up shot, they probably did. Anywho, and a shout out to Doug Johnson for my shimps koozie. This has got a lot of use out of it. Alright, so what did I do? Now this used to be a Trick or Treat Studios book. One thing I had to do was lower the eyes down, the nose, and rework the mouth. The first thing I did was rework the mouth. There's areas that I cut out. And what you need to do is have the photo, whether it's a stunt or the hero book, and use that as what you base everything off of. So you have to rework the mouth. We'll cut some areas out. It's all latex, so it cuts out pretty well, pretty easily. And you have to fill in areas, as you can see here. So the first thing you want to do is work the mouth. Get that the right shape, because that is the most prominent piece here. That will definitely make you decide where everything else goes. And the Totes book is a little bit bigger than what was used in Evil Dead 2. So you kind of have to change lines, accentuate them, things like that. I had to drop the nose down a bit, the eyes as well. So you want to work the mouth, you want to work the nose, then work the eyes. Because you want a little more room up here than what Totes leaves you, because it's really just that way. Okay, the tools that I used is just a cheap set of sculpting tools that you can get from Hobby Lobby. It's like $6. And somebody asked me about the holes up here. You simply use this and you poke holes. That's all you do for the little pores. And what I used was foam clay, air dry foam clay. Now with foam clay, you can actually use water with it as well to sculpt in lines, marks, and to make it work a little bit longer than you need to. The one thing you want to know about foam clay is the more moisture it has, it will actually poof and get big. And it will actually shrink down the drier it gets. So that's one thing you have to really depend on. One thing you want to do prior to that is to form your book. See how that's rounded here, and it's rounded up there. And one thing that people like to do, and I really tell them don't do it because it's wrong, they really take the mouth, the nose, and the eyes, and really just push it out to where somebody's like kind of look. That's not how the book was. It wasn't like that. So you got to really work with shadows and how something sits to get it right with film. So what I did is I worked just the edges of the mouth, and I also put on an extra layer of foam clay on the original Tote sculpt just to have that there so I can get some depth and cut stuff out, things like that. And then did my lines. Now when I did this, I would take a section and go, I'm going to do this section here, but I need to know this section here, where it goes, this section, you know, so forth and so on. So the first thing I did was rework the mouth. And I did have to rework it a couple times the more lines I put into it to make it work. Now, if you have like a line like here where it overlaps, that's something you got to recognize, because if you have something that overlaps, you need to do the underside first. Let that dry, let that cure, make sure it's right and it's as thick as you want it, and then you go over top with that. So you want to go inch by inch by inch. Say you've got an inch here, you want to work an inch here. If you got an inch going here, you want to work it here. So forth, so on. Let it cure, let it dry, piece by piece. Now, I've seen somebody who used the foam clay and they just went right over it. This is the job you don't rush. You simply don't rush it. And if I'm sounding like shh, it's because I had dental surgery a couple days ago. So just to let you guys know. So that's what you want to do, inch by inch by inch. Now, if you have it sculpted with foam clay, it's all done. Now you're at a crossroads. Before you do the front, and I didn't say this before, and I should have, you want to do your pages. You want to get those all done. But once you get it sculpted, now you're at a crossroads. It still opens up, things like that. And whether it's latex or foam clay, it can get crusty and dried up. It's just time, age, it's what it does. You have to decide the look you want. Are you going to embellish on the cover or the book pages and open it up all the time? Because now you have to decide what paint you use. Now, if you want to use more of a flexible paint with the foam clay, you want to go with something, mix up a bunch of different of this FX crap, because it is flexible. But the problem is, they say it's satin. That's horseshit. It's glossy as shit. It's super glossy. I tried it. It looks glossy as fuck. I don't like it. So I had to come to the decision of, am I going to embellish on the pages of opening it up or the actual cover? So I'm like, all right, I don't give a fuck about the pages. I've already done the pages. I've seen them a million fucking times, and I've done those. I'm going to go with some regular acrylics that are flat, because I don't want it super fucking shiny. And I actually sealed the book. If you seal the book with like a plastic dip or something like that, it's shiny as shit. And if you try to black wash it, it just doesn't work very well. So what I did to get this color is I took a little bit, just a little bit of teddy bear brown, but mostly a lot of this, no, not coffee bean. What the hell am I doing? A little bit, or actually, let's start that over. Took a lot of this raw sienna and mixed it with the teddy bear brown. Went over the whole thing, everything. Let that dry. And then took my black I use all the time, multi-surface, it can be a flat, doesn't matter. And I didn't do a black wash, because black wash with foam clay makes it expand and get bigger, and you might not like the look. So what I did is I grabbed the brush, and just grabbed around the brush, put just a little bit of black in there, and just went like that, wiped it out. Just a little bit, wipe it out. A little bit, wipe it out. Or wipe it through and push it through. And then you get the proper look you want. And this is, I did repaint this because Tom Sullivan's stunt book is a lighter color with some darker tones in it. And one thing I'm going to show you on the back is why I decided on embellishing on the cover versus opening it up and reading it, because I've already seen the pages a million times. It doesn't matter to me. I want something really cool. Is if you seal it up with a hard sealer, like a spray sealer, it will crack the more you open it up. So this book is now retired. Now, when it comes to the back, this is not canon. I have talked about before about the melted pores. I want it to be like it's an actual HID. The original Evil Dead 2 book and Evil Dead 1 book did not have an ear. And I have talked about before, this is my sculpted ear. This is kind of my watermark on this book. And how it was sitting and how it melted. So that's why I wanted that melted look to be going that direction. So that is not canon, but that is my watermark on this book. So I am retiring this book. And let me show you something that you can do cool if you decide to embellish on the cover, so where you don't really open it. Even Tom Sullivan on Stunt Book, he really doesn't open it that much because it's old, it's crusty, and it'll crack. But let me show you something that you can do really cool if you have a book that's done really well. What you can do is you can make a cradle for it. Now, I know a lot of people, when they get their totes book or make their own book, they just go to Hobby Lobby or whatever and stick it on a little shitty ass little frame that they got there. Fuck that noise. Don't do that. Make something cool like this. Now, this is the cradle. There's a backstory to it. I'm not going to talk about the backstory now because it's not fully done. But you got the lost pages on the inside. You got Sumerian writing all the way around it. You got the Knights of Samaria symbol in there, double-headed snake. And it's not quite done. So, but when it's done, this thing will light up. It will pulsate. And I still got to put the holder for the book in the top and bottom. Now you got a super cool wall hanging in your house versus just sitting on a shelf, leaning against something, or on a stupid little, I don't know, picture frame holder or a book holder. You got something super cool that you can do for this to really display your book. Now, is this cover ever going to be available? The answer is yes, it will. Now, since I'm going to be done with the chainsaws, I got a few more I actually got to finish up just for friends. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to work on the dagger. But at the same time, I'm also going to be looking into doing a hard version cast or mold, whatever, you know, to where you basically have a hard one and you go over it with latex and you make a cover. So I'm going to work with that and do that so people can actually buy it and have a proper necronomicon. And what I'm going to do is make it the size of the Trick or Treat Studios book, so you can actually take that latex cover and stick it right over top your totes book. Just because that's what everybody has. That's what everybody wants to do, is they want to cover up that flat, ugly ass cover. I mean, it's good for what it is, but let's do a little better, folks. So that's what I plan on doing. I'm going to work with a lot of guys on that and just make that so they can make a ton of latex covers of that. When it comes to the back, I will do an accurate Evil Dead 2 back where there's no ear kind of thing. Just to make it a little more accurate. I don't know if I'm going to go with a stunt look to where it's really super droopy eye and super fat ass nose. Don't know if I'm going to do that. Or just the hero look. So just remember, guys, if you're going to do your own, foam clay is a good way to go. Remember the different paints you can use and what you want to do with it. Remember, if you do embellish on a cover, you can make a super, super cool case for it for display. And actually, this is the box I got from Michael's. It's just a plain box. Michael's is the hobby shop and made it like the cradle for the Book of the Dead. And I will, this year at some point, be making a full piece that they're going to be taking latex pulls off of for the Evil Dead 2 book. So that's really all I got. And remember, if you're going to do this with foam clay, take your time, do it section by section. It's not super expensive. It's just really time consuming. Do not rush it. Do a section by section. Let things cure. Do the overlaps properly. And if it's just a book for yourself, that's the way you need to do it. I'm sure some people out there going, you can do that with hot glue. Now, if you do a necronomicon with hot glue, what I do suggest is do the hot glue and glue and toilet paper thing, because paint doesn't stick to hot glue. You want to cover it up with something that actually adheres to paint. So if you're doing all these lines with hot glue and all that crap, which I don't do, but some people do, which is all right, is you got to cover it up with something. So it actually adheres to the paint, because hot glue doesn't really hold paint. So there we go. Till next time, guys, stay groovy.